you could like do a group like calling out the line. That'd be long. You got it. One member of the group should be one member of the group should create a collab notebook.
Put your name
I've been getting used to doing everything.
But which one do you hashtag?
I know. Because like,
We'll do hashtag.
okay,
I think
like I mentioned. No. Oh, yeah. What was it called? Where's my bot? I was excited about it. Yeah,
What did they do? What did they do?
I made, for the guess my number, it was like 2 weeks ago, but I made a Discord bot. I saved it on my drive so that I can see it. Yeah, it's on you. It might try to read my job.
There's extra stuff in there. Discord thing.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like all the client and
Seriously, that's what
She uploaded while she was getting that. You just uploaded the video from last week? Because I wasn't able to see it until just now.
Earlier this morning.
Oh, okay, because I was like all last week I was trying to go on YouTube.
Yeah, it takes forever for it to process. So, don't tell me. Actually, last week should have been on
PC card picker is not that
there.
bad.
Lots of other classes too.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's
No.
it's about an 8.
Can you run it on Discord? I don't have it turned on. Well, yeah.
So do we need to set up a password for everybody to do that?
No, I mean, I could,
I just think it would be a fun
we can.
competition or something, you know, you see
Yeah.
kids, I love
I have
the
music.
cool about it, you
stuff.
just mangle a server, you know, and see if you can get it all body to death, to where you can hardly do that.
Well,
Yeah,
technically, you
that would be
can
fun.
add it to the class Heisman.
No, because we don't have admin permissions to add bots.
So we have to set up our own server
I mean, we
and give
can
everybody
use
access.
started.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to pay for that. But we all have to have admin permissions to upload our bots.
Let's see here. I've got some people. That third row, that's our problem area.
There's a while.
Yeah.
So Lisa,
Trying to get it to stop. And there's some of the stuff that is.
Oh, no.
So I was getting really frustrated. I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to work very fast. But I deleted like half of it.
Rachel.
Yeah,
You know what you're doing.
I do that too. Why?
For me.
Oh, so, okay, here we go. This actually has more, this covers. Here the chat, so like if people are spamming in the chat, you can just any messages if you want. This, I can kick members and members.
Sure, right.
I'm working on a well, so which one's not quite that clear. Yeah, that's what happens with my job. Like, my productions, people like say, welcome, whatever.
Of course, that's also.
Lisa, that's you, but Seth. Are you Seth? I just wanted to make sure I had the right person because people around you are missing.
You don't wanna be like,
That's all right.
you know, that's.
Okay, I think I've got everybody. If you look on Discord, I shared a Collab notebook with you. If you would open that one up, let's take a quick look at it and then we'll try to get to our lab work because I don't want you to be working on stuff at home on weekend. What is in this notebook? Now, when you get it open, first of all, is it letting you open it okay? Letting everybody get to it. If you go to your file menu, you can choose to save a copy to your drive. So choose file, save a copy in drive, and then save it wherever you want in your drive.
Oh, it's on Discord. And our, here.
So inside this document, what we have in this notebook, a little bit of experimenting, but the first section is a link to that Python Tutor website, you know, where you can visualize your code running, because I keep saying just search for it. But besides this being a link to the Python Tutor, you can also see it has some example code where I was trying to figure out how to best embed links like that into our Collab notebooks. Mentioning that, knowing that some of you are in web dev and might come up with a much better way, share with us. If you do, let me know. So that's why it's got some extra HTML kind of stuff there, trying to think of a good way to make that work. I kind of wanted to embed it where it would actually just be part of our Collab document so we could do that visualization. The second thing is a flowchart. So I'm going to expand that and we'll see if it loads up for everybody. Again, I was trying to embed that in a frame so that it would open, and the flowchart did work. So this flowchart comes from a tool. Let's see, it's got about 57 links on it to what the tool name is. Just another cloud-based tool we can use to draw flowcharts because there's a million of them. So I saved this flowchart in this tool, and then I was able to embed it into our Collab document. Let's look at this flowchart really quick, because the next thing in our Collab document is the Python code for this little flowchart application. Our flowchart starts out declaring a variable named choice, and then it displays a menu. And it's just asking the user, enter 1 if it's cold, 2 if it's wet, 3 if it's hot. And then in our flowchart, we're checking that.
This is meeting's not up yet.
It's there. Are you guys in the waiting room?
Yeah. He's waiting for me to
Okay, get in there early. It should let you in. I was kind of whacking out this morning, like kicking people out and letting them back in and doing all sorts of stuff. So let me know if it starts fighting with you. Okay, so in our flowchart, we just have some decision making to do based on the choice the user typed in. So this is a simple menu application. And we see menu applications, but now we're used to seeing them more as graphical type applications, like our Netflix queue comes up. What is that? It's a menu, right? Because it's got options running across we could pick. So this is an earlier menu that's not as graphical. But if they pick 1, we're going to print a message that says it's cold. If they choose 2, we're going to print a message that's appropriate for that choice. And if they choose 3, we'll print a message that says it's hot. This is a really common use of if statements, our selection statement that we were looking at last time, because we have to use an if statement to decide what option the user picked. So that's a real standard thing. Now you can tell I was kind of trying to figure out how we could use our Collab flowcharts or Collab tools a little more. So in defensive programming, one option that we have for defensive or for if statements is using a menu system like this. And I may have lied about there being Python code. We might have to create it. We can handle that. We'll do that real quick. But then the other option that we have that's really standard use of if statements, we've seen that we have if statements for checking to see if a certain condition is met or if a certain value is found in a variable. But we can also use if statements for defensive programming. And that means we're going to write code to make sure that nobody can break our application. And you guys have all used websites that have crashed or other things that have broken on you. Those runtime errors are really disruptive. And so as developers, we try to do everything we can to avoid those kinds of things that happen outside of our code, outside of our control. So one of those things that can happen is people typing in non-numeric data, or in the case of this one, they're saying that, oh, this is just a number. Sorry, I was looking at something else. But if the user types in something that's not a number, we're going to have an error trap thrown with this code, and this exception code will run that prints out this invalid number. So this little code snippet is just here for you to try, just so you know how we can check that sort of thing, to check to make sure a user actually typed in a number. Now that's not an if statement, is it? It's a little bit separate. But I wanted you to have that code because it kind of bothers people. They don't know how to check for valid numeric input. So at least you have that now. What we can do with if statements, though, is we can make sure that they typed in a number that's valid for us. One example where we can run into numbers that cause trouble is when we're doing division. Because if the number we're going to divide by, our divisor, ends up being 0 for whatever reason, then in effect our program is trying to divide by 0, and that's an illogical condition. We can't do that kind of math. So our program will cancel with the divide by 0 error. So what we can do is add a check-in to say, If the number is 0, give them some sort of message. We can't use that number to divide by. But if the number is not 0, we can go ahead and use it as a divisor in a divide operation, and everything should be fine. So that's one way we can use an if statement in a defensive manner to defend our code from unknown things. The next area that can be a common problem is trying to calculate a square root. When we're calculating a square root, we have to be working with a positive number. The system is not smart enough to just ignore a sign, or it's just illogical to get a square root of a negative number. So again, we could do an if statement and say if our input number is less than 0, we can't do a square root calculation. Otherwise, we can go ahead and do it, and here's our output. One other thing that we would use if statements for in defensive programming are to make sure a number is within a valid range. In this example down here, we want a number that's between 50 and 100. So we have an if statement. And in our if statement, we say if the number is greater than or equal to 50 and less than or equal to 100. Look at that if statement for me. Whenever we're desk checking or looking at code like this, trying to figure out what's going to happen when our code is run, oftentimes like in the questions, in our short answer questions at the end of the book or at the end of the chapter, they'll say, what'll happen if input number is 75? And then we'll use that to step through the code and figure out what would happen. So in that case, what would happen if our INP number were 75? So we get our message that we're within the range. What if our number was 50? We're still going to print it. What if our number is 100? Still going to print it. So would we call that range check inclusive? Because it's including the numbers on both edges of the range. And that's a real important point to us as developers, right? Because if we took those equal signs out, all of a sudden we would be changing the meaning there, and we would be checking for 51 through 99, right? And 50 and 100 would not be included in our valid numbers. So notice how easy it is for us to change the whole impact of the thing just by making a small change. What if we changed this word and to the word or? What would happen if our input number was 75? We'd still get the message. What would happen if our input number was 1? We'd still get the message, right? Because by putting that or in, we just basically said pretty much anything, right? Because we're like, if it's greater than this or less than this, so we could run into a problem somewhere? Not really. We've just pretty much opened that up to say no matter what kind of number we are approached by, we're going to come out with a true result. So this one is the same. We're just checking a different range, 101 through 150, to point out to you that difference there in that beginning number. Now these defensive programming snippets are in your Python programming textbook. And in your Python programming textbook is the stuff we want to do for your assignments. Let's take a look at those. We really want to spend mostly lab time today. So for today, while you're in class, the focus should be on this lab. And I want you to work with your study group, but let me know if you don't have a study group because they're all someplace else, or you would like one to be in the same place as you, or whatever the case may be, and we can try to rearrange. Because each person will get, see right here, I say the study group should complete the lab together. One member of the group should create the Collab Notebook and share the notebook with the other group members. Now, have we done that? Have we tried that so you guys can see how your Collab Notebook works just like a Google Doc? Have you shared with your study group? Let's do that real quick. I want to do that before we split up and start our activity. Open one of your other Collab notebooks, because this one is too much the same. Everybody's is the same. And one of you in your group, click on share. And then when you try to share, up here, you're going to have a change option. I don't have it because mine is already shared. And you want to see, you want to get it to the point where you're allowing other people to update your document with just the link, because we don't have OTC Google accounts. So if you try and use that OTC Google account, it's not going to work quite properly. So we want sharing with updatable with just the link. Once you've got that link, send it to some other people in your group, and let's see if they can open. What we'd like is everybody opening the same Collab notebook at the same time. Our, let's see. So letting you see it. You should see it looks just like a Google Doc, where when everybody's in there at the same time, you all have kind of different color mouse pointers, and you can do updating it simultaneously so that you can all update your code at the same time. That's our point. That was the main reason I was trying to get us to Google Docs. Seth, can you share yours with me so I can show everybody what it'll look like? If you want to just post that link in the chat or something. Do it. Either one. Anywhere I'll find it. Okay, so I have Seth's. So he didn't find the thingy that gives me access from a link. So click on that some more when you're sharing, because we want to find the one that says edit with link.
So we've tried that several times and it never gives us access. We did actually get access this morning because he was.
Are we having trouble? Because you guys might have trouble sharing because we don't have the Google account.
He had to put in our upgrade.
Did you?
Google account. He had to put it in there. So we're all sharing now.
Not yet.
Let me see what yours looks like when you go to share.
Share and make sure everyone editor.
Yeah.
That's how he got it to work.
I don't have to do that, but it might make us because we don't have the Google account.
I did also change to anyone with the link.
Yeah, that's what I
So I
did
took
whenever.
the restriction off.
Yeah, click on that one. And then
Yeah,
right here, you should be able to change them to editor and then get that link.
So I make it quick.
Yeah.
probably include that one to let us know.
But I think as long as
Anyone with the link can edit, so copy that link and send me that one, just me, and let's see if that works. Because it really has been being hard. Put it in the Discord.
Discord, you want it in the Riley hybrid?
Sure,
Yeah.
we'll find it. We'll figure out how to get it, you guys. Thanks for your help. I'll tell you, when I'm home alone, it's hard to share.
I'll send it directly to you.
You guys like
There you go.
super fast access? So it's just like this. You guys press request access.
How would the admin let us in?
Do what?
We got the request access, kind of the page you just had up a second ago.
Okay, Seth was able to do it, so let's see if we can figure out how to get it. When you go to share, if you have this option, anyone on the internet with this link can view. I can't change it because it's his. So down here where mine says anyone on the internet with this link can view, if I click change, I can say anyone with this link instead of a viewer is an editor. And now when I copy that link, they should be able to access that notebook and update it. Is that? So we have to kind of be a little careful with how we share it because it's not coming up with the right information right away. And don't you worry, I've sent untold number of emails to the help desk saying, why don't we have Google accounts? Could we please have Google accounts? Could students please have Google accounts? Why don't students have Google accounts? That's right, you still don't have to do it. Is it letting you do it? Okay, so try to change it, sucker. Now, right now I'm in Seth's. So if I type some stuff, he should be able to see it. Seth typed some stuff for me.
This is so weird. It's not exactly working for us.
Not working?
Well, so the weird thing is that they can see what they're doing, but somehow, oh, never, now it's not.
Now you can.
Yeah, because it was like they could put stuff and then I'd see it, and I'd try to put something and it wouldn't do anything.
So you were on like the delayed reaction plan. Is it letting you do anything? No?
I'm trying to do right.
I was gonna say mine, but I'm really good.
See, if the same will fail if you haven't like done anything, someone else has done something. So as long as we're doing stuff, just make sure we just keep overwriting it.
Saving.
Yeah, just save. Or I was gonna say just. Well, I start to see if that was.
Every 5 seconds.
Or, so you guys do. Jump out. Building, and it just starts into the, sign.
Can you see each other's stuff?
This is really interesting. You guys do mine? Is it working? I went through this stuff.
Still can't see him. We'll figure it out.
This is so overcomplicated. So kind of jump back and forth.
Okay, so that's one reason we want to choose collaboratory. You guys try to get information from your study group so that in case we are in a situation where we're not able to come to class or whatever the reason, you would still be able to jump into a collab document to work together to get some things done. Because that's our thought here, is that it would be nice if you guys could do coding in case we weren't here or outside. So let's look at that assignment. The Guess My Number is really the chapter project. So we've done a little bit out of the chapter together. We looked at the if statements and the else clause and the else clause. But we haven't done anything with while loops. So this section is going to be you guys experimenting on your own. Next week, we'll really start with our looping section. So this is just like a preview for you to make this thing keep running until somebody says they are done or until they win the game. So it presents the game to you in the chapter. They do have a couple more examples between where we left off and where they start the code for the Guess My Number game. You do need to read through that material, the in-between section, but you don't need to do that today. You might have to brush up a little bit, taking a look at some of those sections. So you and your study group, between you, are going to split up this Guess My Number game program so that you could take advantage of Collab and try to get the project done. The thing is, you're not just going to turn in the Guess My Number game. I'd like you to update it. So after your group gets it pretty well working, we want to make an update to the game to count how many attempts the user has made. And then you're going to limit them to a certain number of attempts. So your group can decide how many that is, if you're going to give them, 3 or 1 or whatever, before you knock them out and say that they didn't get the right number. So there's lots to do there with that. They give you the code. You are welcome to use it as is. You're also welcome to reorganize it if you'd like to make it a little bit more efficient. Now, the other assignment for this week, before you get to work, is for on your own. So for the Guess Your Number, we should have a shared Collab document, just one that's dedicated to the Guess Your Number game. That document is the one that should be submitted for the assignment. So I have too many Google windows open. I can't find the one where I had our class, so I'll just go there again. Modules. The other assignment is a Magic 8-Ball. So it's kind of like that weather application. I was kidding, saying, oh, we should write this code real fast. I sort of wanted to, but you guys need the lab time. The Magic 8-Ball is going to give you an opportunity to write code that'll be very similar. You're going to write a simulation that pretends you're a Magic 8-Ball. You're going to, I'm going to pull this document up. In your application, the seeker is going to be prompted for their name, the seeker of wisdom from the Magic 8-Ball. Then you're going to, in your code, tell the seeker to think of their question, because you're supposed to think of it while you're doing the Magic 8-Ball. Then in your code, you're going to generate a random number, and that's going to be the seeker's lucky number or their answer. And then based on their answer, you're going to give them some sort of text back. So here are the answers that the Magic 8-Ball has, the real one. I'd like you to have a minimum of 9 possible answers. You don't need to have all of these. 9 possible. You do not have to use these messages. So if you would like to come up with your own answers to make things a little bit more dynamic for you, that's fine. So 3 positive, 3 neutral, 3 negative would be a good way to split it up. Questions about that? This one is for more homework on your own. So the Guess My Number game, lab time, let's try to get as much of that done today as we can while we're working together. And then the Magic 8-Ball is for homework. And of course, you can hit your study group up for help with it. If you have any questions, you could hit me up. You can hit up Discord. Questions before we get started, though? Feel good about it?
I don't think we've had one that we've submitted through Collab Drive graded yet. Is there a way we can tell that it's going through, like that you can access it? Like,
yeah, you can.
You've gone and looked at it because like whenever I submit, I'm like kind of scared that this isn't going through, right?
Don't worry about it. I love the way you guys get so stressed. And I would hate to have some of the teachers you must have had in the past that made you think that I would give you zeros for all of that. Nobody's work, they all fail.
I've just
That's
been
not
married for
exactly
like
how
5 years.
Do what?
So I've just been married for 5 years, so I'm doing everything wrong.
No, my daughter says it's because there's mean, evil teachers out there. And she says, your students could have had mean, evil teachers like that before, and she expected that. And I say, no, there can't be. And she says, yes, there are. She had one like that when she was doing her master's. She did it all online through LSU, and she had an instructor who she heard was having brain surgery. And indeed, the instructor, there were no assignments, nothing posted for the beginning of the semester. So about 7 weeks into the semester, all of a sudden, the whole semester's worth of material went bonk, and it was all past due and due and due, and she started working and she got it all done because that teacher never once acknowledged the fact that she had had brain surgery and hadn't been available the first 7 weeks of school, just acted like that hadn't even happened. So it does happen, I know. But don't worry, because I know we're all trying to do this collab thing together. So if it doesn't work, I'll let everybody know and we'll figure something out. But it's all looking good.
Okay.
So we are there. Good question. Any others? Want to start up on that? I'll tell you more stories. It's great. Okay. Do remember, sometimes it can take a while to get our videos posted. Last time I think we were in here, I think it was like the help desk guy came in right as we were getting done. And so it can be a real handful to get them out there. So keep watching. I'm going to give it to you then. Okay, remote people, get with your group. I'm going to end the Zoom session. So let me know if I can do anything to help.